This is Unit 8.4 Volume. You use volume in everyday life, from filling up a pool during summertime to getting a glass of water after school and making sure it doesn't overflow. This is a formula sheet which states how to find the volume of different three-dimensional shapes. When solving for volume, your answer is always going to be in cubic units. We're going to be using this information when finding the volumes of the shapes in the next couple of slides.
This is a rectangular prism which falls into the category of general prisms. The formula that we are going to be using is volume equals base times height. The base is length times width, which in this case is 6 times 4. That equals 24. You are now going to multiply 24 times the height, which is 5, to get 120, which is the volume of this shape.
We're going to be moving on to finding the volume of another shape. This is a cylinder. The formula for a cylinder is volume equals pi times the radius squared times the height. In this case, the radius is 25 and the height is 40. All you have to do now is plug those numbers into the formula to get pi times 25 squared times 40. If you type that into the calculator, you should get 25,000 pi. And to simplify that, the answer will be 78,539.8 inches cubed.
This may look complicated, but look at the shape in two different parts. There's a pyramid and a cube. You are going to solve this problem by using the same method used in the last two examples. You are going to substitute the numbers into the formulas. Let's start with the cube. Since all sides in a cube are all the same length, the base is going to be 9 miles by 9 miles. The height is also 9 miles, and if you multiply all those together, you will get 729, which is the volume of the cube. But you will still have to solve for the pyramid, which uses the formula 1/3 base times height. If you substitute those numbers in, you will get 1/3 81 times 9, which is 243. The last step is to add the two volumes together and you get a total volume of 972.
This one is probably the most difficult of all the examples so far. You are trying to find the volume of the space left inside of the cube around the sphere. Think of this one as two shapes as well. Solve for the cube first by using the same formula as the last problem. If you do 20 times 20 times 20, you will get 8,000. Next, to solve for the sphere, you are going to use the formula 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. If you plug those numbers into the formula and then into the calculator, you will get about 4,188.79. The final step of this problem is to subtract the volume of the sphere from the volume of the cube, which equals 3,811.21, and that is the volume of the space left inside of the cube.
This one's going to be a challenge problem for you to solve. Use the formulas for a cone and a sphere to solve the problem. The formula for a cone is 1/3 times pi times the radius squared, and all of that times the height. The formula for a sphere is 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. A little hint is once you find the volume of the sphere, cut it in half to solve for the volume of the half sphere.
Make sure you've attempted to solve the problem before proceeding with the video.
We're going to go through this problem step by step to make sure you've got this down. It doesn't matter which shape you started with, but we are going to start with the cone. As stated before, the formula that you should have used was 1/3 times pi times the radius squared, and all of that times the height. When plugging those numbers in, you should have gotten 1/3 pi times 81, which is 9 squared, and all of that times 14. You should have gotten 378 pi, which simplifies to about 1,187.5 when rounding to the nearest tenth, which is the volume of the cone. Now, to solve for the sphere, you plug the numbers into the formula of a sphere, which, as stated before, is 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. When substituting the numbers in, the formula will be 4/3 times pi times 9 cubed, which is 729. When solved, the answer will be 972 pi, or about 3,053.628. Since this is a half sphere, you just have to cut that in half to get 1,526.8, which is the volume of the half sphere. To get the overall volume of the shape, you add the two volumes together. The answer you should have gotten would be about 2,714.3.
Hopefully you got the answer correct, but if you didn't, don't worry. You'll get it eventually. Volume may seem a little tricky, but it just comes down to plugging in the right numbers into the corresponding formula. General prisms may have the easiest looking formula, but solving for the volume of any given shape can be easy with a little bit of practice. From the pool to a glass of water, volume will be helpful in everyday life, not just geometry class.